This is first scene, walking in the yellow shirt. Take one.
I'm Caleb Phipps, and I'm the director of the Twice Owned movie. We had 3 boats. We got 3 of them. We had assembled those, and then we had to make each one for its stage. We had to have the brand new one. Then we had to have the one that was beat up and all torn up, and then we had the renewed one, the restored one. So we worked on all of those and got them all to how they needed to be. Start out with our first one that was the brand new one, had Glory on it. And we just took the boat by itself and did a bunch of filming of it, going through the river, going through the rapids and such. And we had to figure out how to make it float best, and different ways of filming it, and from all different angles, and trying to be as creative as possible just with a boat in the river.
Ah, I died.
I'm spinning. Oh no, I'm out of control.
Once we used it some, then we went ahead and weathered that one to be the one that was all beat up. So we took sandpaper to it and a knife, and we scratched it up and beat it up, and we got a little bit of dirt and rubbed that on it. And yeah, so this is the one we beat up. We stained the sail and ripped through the sail right here. So yeah, we beat it up. We had to make it look like it went through quite a journey.
Oh no, the boat died. Ah!
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1. So we had to do that line, the line breaking. So we did that close up, but we just ended up taking a pair of scissors and just off screen cutting it. But we had to do that a few times because it didn't look quite right the first time. So we showed up at the shop we were gonna film at, and we were looking around, and we're gonna use this area. But then there's this like perfect rustic looking yellow ladder, and it's like, hey, this is the kind of colors and look we're wanting for this film, and right here it is. And so it worked just so perfectly, and really the whole shop was perfect for the movie. It had a lot of colors that we wanted. Some of it was just like set up right there. We didn't have to move it at all, and so that set was great, and just great colors, great atmosphere, and it just worked out perfectly for what we needed.
Okay, back to your spot.
We never used a tripod. We were going to use it, but then we moved on. It's like, no, we don't need it here. So eventually we ended up forgetting the tripod altogether. We left it at the creek. So next day we're like, where's our tripod? It's like, oh, it's still at the creek. So we had another plan to get a tripod, but then that one didn't even work out. It didn't have its pieces. So we're like, well, we have a monopod, so we'll just film all of the rest of it just on a monopod. Walking through the creek and along the shoreline, it was mostly shoulder rig. One scene, we used the slider for it to slide along, and as it slid along, the time would pass. So you see things happening and it fade out, and we used it in front of the store as he's crossing back and forth. The main part of the filming was done on a Canon 7D. The underwater shots we got with a GoPro. We had it in this waterproof case, and so we're trying to figure out how to get some really neat shots, so we ended up putting the GoPro underwater. And one of the problems we had with putting it underwater is a lot of times it'd want to be taken away by the current, and so we had to figure out how to keep it in one spot, and how to get the boats to go straight over it or straight in front of it, and so we had to work with that. And you know, with one we had, there's no screen on it, and then we tried connecting with Wi-Fi on the phone, but putting it under the water, we couldn't get it. Wouldn't get a connection. We couldn't see exactly what it was getting. So we did a lot of we got a lot of worthless shots there because we didn't know necessarily what we were getting.
Okay, wait. How do we stop it?
All right.
All right, let's get this thing. And
Face home.
all right, get yourself under control. No smiling.
Try to breathe a lot because you've been running. So.
Okay. Oh no, your boat. Here we go. Action.
So the glide cam shot, we wanted him to run down and along the beach or up to the shore, and we wanted the glide cam to follow along with him and then swoop around and reveal what he's seen. And so we got out there, and it was rough terrain, and you know, running the glide cam had to go backwards with it, and so it was like there was one spot that it was like a 2-foot drop, and we had to kind of work around that and like not fall while going backwards, and nearly running into the water with the glide cam. We had the guy holding on to the back of me, and we did that over and over and over again.
And really reach out your arm and place it down. Okay? And then do your lines just like you did then.
Were you still going?
Yeah.
Yes.
See that face that you made? Do that again.
We had to work around the rain most of the time. We used the umbrella some of the time, but then we put shower caps over the camera and its lens in order to keep it out of the rain from getting wet. We needed the final shot, and it was raining. It's like, well, how do we get the final shot? This is the last shot. So there was actually a bridge we went down to, and we went underneath the bridge, and we were out of the rain, but it's still bright enough on the outside, and actually added a really nice effect to it, having a bright background. And we were able to get the final shot without being completely in the rain. Yeah, Anthony was holding the boat because I wanted it, they're floating right there, but it couldn't just float right there. So he ended up holding it, and then I'm like, well, that doesn't look natural. You gotta make it look like it's floating. So he's there moving it like it's floating, and some things you have to do, you know. Well, the story itself is the boy makes this boat, and then he goes sails it, but then it's taken away by the water in the rapids, and he ends up losing it. But he finds it eventually, and it's all beat up and tore up, and so he's able to pay the price to get it back. And so he once he gets it back, then he restores it, and then he sails it once again in its new glory. But that's the analogy of how Jesus, he came and paid the price for us, and he takes us and renews us. And that's what this story is about, is the renewing of us and us being restored, and how we are twice his.
This is an awesome guy. I am an awesome guy.
What are you doing?
We're just posing.
Okay.
Alright, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.